We spend so much of our time in the kitchen, but we just weren't happy with the way it was set up. What small pantry and counter space we had was all cluttered and disorganized, and not to mention the fact that you couldn't even see into the living room with the amount of stuff on the bookshelves in front of the sink. It was time for a refresh. I started with basic cleaning up, like putting away clean dishes, putting up the dirty dishes, and getting the trash. Then it was time to move on to the counters. I needed to see what I was working with, so I decided it would be best to take everything off the counters and see it all blank again. I wiped off our kitchen island and made that my station for everything kitchen. And this was a multiple day project overall, and our kitchen island was like this for a few days. We got a little busy. Since we're working on the kitchen, I don't like to use heavy chemicals, so an apple cider vinegar water mix was what I chose. I made it a point to wipe down everything as I was removing it, because what better time to make sure it's all clean than now? With blank countertops, I got to work on deep cleaning. Although our kitchen is small, this surprisingly took more time than I would like to admit. Luckily, Asa took a long nap this day. I washed every countertop, wall, cabinet, inside and out, and baseboards. Although white is really cute in a kitchen, it likes to show all of your kitchen splatters and spills, which we've had a few with chili recently, so those marks had to go. For the stovetop, I let baking soda sit with warm wet cloths on it for 30 minutes before scrubbing. I also wiped down all our appliances and was happy to find that the vinegar mix worked great on the chrome and left it nice and shiny without any streaks. And with all the time I spend in the kitchen letting things boil over, the stovetop wasn't looking too hot. Once everything was freshened up, I put out new towels and gave the place a good vacuum. To clean up the look of the kitchen, we bought glass containers for our vinegar and oil instead of having these big jugs sit on our counters like we had. A few days later, and after trying to figure out how we wanted to set up the kitchen differently, we finally got the chance to start to set up our kitchen again. The air fryer now has a new location, and it was time to get accountability of our spices, because we had quite a few that were half used, and for some reason I decided to open a new one. With that issue solved, I worked on our cabinet that houses our pots. The top corner of this cabinet had become a dumping ground for other random kitchen things, so I decided to change that. Now onto our tiny pantry. I didn't like that some of my dry ingredients like flour and sugar were on the island, but other things like rice were shoved in the pantry. So I dumped these into different containers to match the others on the island so that they could be out as well, and worked on the pastas, which we had half-used boxes of, but now they're all organized and ready to be cooked. Our lunchbox snack area just needed a little reorganization, and I also added the popcorn and Rolos off the island. But the shelf above needed some help. With little space around the kitchen, I had started to shove extra containers in the back of this shelf. So I removed those and instead put the thermoses here because this shelf has our packed lunch items. The snack shelf was next, and new containers made it look so much cleaner as opposed to a bunch of bags with rubber bands. And crumbs had made this bin a mess, so I cleaned that too. I think this shelf's new look makes me the happiest. The breakfast shelf simply needed a box of cereal to go in the back with the other extra boxes. And the top shelf, our freezer meal shelf, needed more ease of accessibility, and to not have everything fall on top of me when I would try to reach for something. So some moving, repacking, and folding helped a ton. Now it was time to add everything to the island, which barely fit, but it fit. For the sink area, we had gotten actual dispensers instead of the big bulky plastic ones we had been rocking for a while. So I got those rinsed out and filled up. Now onto the living room, which affected the kitchen with all the things sitting on top of the bookshelves. But I won't make you watch us reorganize this again since we just did that in our house reset video. So instead, here's the final product with the teas and coffees in the shelves to give it a cleaner look. Now for the kitchen reveal. To top it off, a little snack to congratulate ourselves for being done. Thanks for watching.